The White Dress on Route 9. My name is Ryan. I'm a practical guy, born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. I've driven through the dense, foggy woods of Washington state 1,000 times. To me, the forest at night was just empty space between cities. But last October, on a lonely stretch of Route 9, I learned that when the night gets deep enough, the forest isn't empty at all. Something is out there, waiting for you to look. It was exactly 2:15 a.m. I was driving my motorcycle back from a late-night gig in a small mountain town. The highway was completely deserted. The sky was an oppressive starless black, and a thick, heavy fog began rolling off the hills, swallowing the asphalt. My headlight could barely cut through 10 feet of the dense mist. It was just me, the rhythmic roar of my engine, and the endless black wall of pine trees on either side. I was riding through the deepest part of the woods when my headlight began to flicker violently, the beam dimming and brightening like a dying heartbeat. I slowed down, trying to check the dashboard. That's when I saw her. Right in the dead center of my headlight beam, about 50 yards ahead, a woman was standing in the middle of the road. She was wearing a long, vintage white dress. It was pristine, unnaturally bright against the pitch-black asphalt. She was standing completely still, her back turned to me, her long black hair falling all the way down to her waist. My heart violently dropped into my stomach. Finding a woman alone in a white dress in the middle of a haunted forest highway at 2 a.m. is the universal sign to turn around. I slammed on my brakes. The motorcycle tires shrieked against the wet pavement, and I skidded to a halt just 10 yards away from her. "Hey, are you okay?" I yelled, my voice trembling over the idle of my engine. I kept my hand locked on the throttle, ready to gun it if things went sideways. She didn't move, she didn't flinch. But then a freezing metallic gust of wind rushed through the trees. The fog swirled around her, but her white dress and her long hair remained perfectly still, completely unaffected by the wind. It was like she wasn't a physical person, but a glitch in reality. A cold sweat broke out across my forehead. Every instinct screamed at me to put the bike in reverse. But before I could move, the woman in the white dress began to turn around. She didn't turn like a normal human. She didn't take a step. Her body rotated slowly, smoothly, floating an inch above the ground. And when her front finally faced my headlight, the breath caught in my throat, and a wave of pure, unadulterated terror hit me. She had no face. Where a woman's eyes, nose, and mouth should be, there was nothing but a smooth, featureless mass of pale gray flesh. It was like a blank canvas. But as I stared in absolute horror, a jagged, black tear ripped open across the bottom of her faceless head. It stretched all the way from ear to ear, widening into a massive hollow grin filled with rows of sharp needle-like teeth. A thick, dark fluid began to drip from her mouth onto the road. I gasped, but no sound came out. Suddenly, the entity dropped flat onto the asphalt, crouching on all fours like a massive, distorted spider. And with a sickening speed, she bolted directly toward my motorcycle. From her hollow mouth erupted a deafening mechanical shriek. It sounded like a dozen broken radio stations playing full-volume static at the same time. "Holy shit!" I screamed, finally snapping out of my paralysis. I dropped the clutch and twisted the throttle, tearing down the right side of the road to bypass her. As I sped past, her long, skeletal gray arms swiped through the air, missing my helmet by mere inches. I'd buried the speedometer at 80 miles per hour, my engine roaring through the dark forest. I refused to look at my rearview mirrors, but I could hear it. Thump, thump, thump. The wet, heavy sound of her chasing me on all fours, keeping pace with a speeding motorcycle. Suddenly my engine coughed, the dashboard lights flickered, and the bike died completely. I was plunged into absolute suffocating darkness. Moving too fast to stop, I lost control, flying off the road and crashing hard into a deep, muddy ditch. My body was battered, and sharp pain shot through my leg, but the adrenaline kept me alive. I crawled into a thick patch of bushes, holding my breath, staring blindly into the dark highway. Then, right next to my ear, a very familiar voice whispered in the dark, "Ryan, why are you hiding? Look what I found for you." My blood turned to pure ice. It was my own voice. It was a flawless, identical replica of my vocal cords. I looked up through the branches. Standing on the road was the woman in the white dress. Except she wasn't wearing the white dress anymore. She was wearing my leather jacket, my jeans, and my boots. And as she turned her phone's flashlight onto her own face, I saw the smooth gray flesh slowly morphing, shifting, and taking the shape of my own eyes, my own nose, and my own twisted smile. She had stolen my identity. She let out a sickening, glitched laugh using my voice, and then walked away into the darkness. I passed out from pure terror. The next morning, the warm sunlight woke me up. Birds were chirping, and the forest felt normal again. I dragged my bruised body out of the ditch, found my keys, and somehow got the bike to start. I rode straight back home, trying to convince myself it was just a severe sleep deprivation hallucination. I locked my front door, breathed a sigh of relief, and went into the bathroom to wash the mud off my face. I grabbed a towel, wiped my eyes, and looked up into the mirror. My heart completely stopped. My body went entirely numb. The reflection looking back at me had my clothes and my hair, but my face was gone. In its place was a smooth, featureless mass of pale gray skin. I tried to scream, but I had no mouth. Suddenly, from the other side of the glass, the reflection raised its hand, touched the mirror, and smiled, a terrifying mouth ripping open across its skin. It spoke in my perfect original voice. "Great performance last night, Ryan, but you're not the one living this life anymore. Enjoy the silence." I realized too late, I had never left that forest. My soul was stripped away on Route 9, and now I am the one trapped on the other side of the glass, watching a monster walk into my house, wearing my skin.